Expressions in After Effects can feel like you're trying to learn a second language just to move a layer. But you don't need to have a degree in computer science just to build better rigs. In this series, we're breaking down expression controls, those simple sliders and checkboxes that turn a messy timeline into a professional workflow. Let's get into it. So in today's video, we're going to take a look at the drop-down menu expression control, and to do that, we're going to make a theme changer for a lower third. So you can see I've got this basic lower third here, which I slightly modified from a lower third you can download for free from vecteezy.com. The link will be in the description below. And what we're going to do is add expressions to all the fill colors that will be controlled by a single drop down to change the theme of the lower third. And the reason that we want to do that, I've got two backgrounds here. As you can see, if I turn on a light background, the little chevron or whatever the background shape is behind the logo completely disappears. So we're going to create a drop-down menu that has two options, a light background and a dark background theme. And when you choose one of those two themes from the drop-down menu, it will change all of the colors on this lower third. So I've already got the basic setup here. I've got the lower third imported from Illustrator using Overlord. If you're not familiar with Overlord, you should definitely, don't even check it out, just go buy it and then learn how to use it, because it will be your favorite plugin for After Effects for sure. So I've got everything imported. I've added the fill color animators to the text, and I've got all of the fill colors popped open here so we can easily access them for adding the expressions. This is another situation where, since we're controlling things on multiple layers, we want to have a single layer called controls that I like to keep at the top, and I always like to turn it yellow for some reason, but you can do whatever you want. So I've added a null that is at the top of the stack and renamed it controls, and that's where we're going to put our drop-down expression control. So the first thing we need to do is grab that expression control. If we come over to our effects and presets and search for drop-down, it will be the only option that's there, or unless you have other third-party things installed that are called drop-down. So drop that right on that controls layer, and then up in your effect controls, make sure that you click on the lock to lock that in place, so that when we click on the other layers, we will still be able to access the drop-down menu expression control. Then we're going to click on the name of that drop-down, and let's just rename it theme. What you name it isn't really that important as long as it makes sense for whatever you're creating. And then we just need to add a very short expression to each of these fill colors. And we're going to be able to use that, or create that expression one time, copy and paste it between the different layers that need it, and just slightly modify them depending on what colors we want to show up. We'll test it on one layer first, and then we'll copy it across. Before we add that expression control, though, we need to add the options to the drop-down menu controller. If you look right now, that menu just has three options: item 1, item 2, and item 3. So if we click the edit button right above those options, it will give us a dialog box where we can modify them. We're going to double click the first one and rename that dark background. We will double click the second one and name that one light background. And then we will click the third one and click the minus button to delete it. Push OK. Now your drop-down should have just the dark background and light background options. So let's get working on this expression. Come down to the fill color on whichever layer you want to start with. Let's start with name, because that's big and bold so we can see that easily. we're going to Alt or Option click on the stopwatch for fill color to access the expression. Let's make that box a little bit bigger. And we're going to start off by creating a variable that accesses the value of the drop-down menu that we just created. To do that, we're going to name the variable colorTheme. We're not going to name it just theme because there's a built-in, I believe it's a function in the expression engine that is called theme, and we don't want to confuse After Effects. So we're going to say colorTheme equals, and then we're going to pick whip up to the drop-down menu and let go, and then end that line with the semicolon. Next, we're going to create an if condition to check what the value of that menu currently is. So we're going to say if colorTheme equals 0, and that's because when you're coding arrays, which is what this is likely using in the background, are there is 0 index, meaning that they start counting from 0 instead of 1. So the first item in an array is going to be a 0. We're going to open the curly brace, press enter, and then we're going to use a built-in function in After Effects called hexToRgb so that we can just give After Effects a hex code for the colors that we want to use, and it will convert it to the RGB value in the background. So if we start to type hex, you'll see the only option there is hexToRgb. Press enter, and we're going to say when it's on the dark background, we want it to be white, which the hex code is just the letter F 6 times. Then make sure you come back and end that one with a semicolon. Then, after it checks for that condition, we need to check for the other condition. So we're going to say else if, open parenthesis, colorTheme, double equals, don't just do a single equals because that will reassign the value. If it equals 1, which should be our light background, open curly brace, in that case, we want it to be black, which the hex code for black is 6 zeros. And end that one with a semicolon. That would be good enough for most people, but it's always a good idea to build in some kind of troubleshooting step here. So you can add a catch-all by adding a final condition that just is called else instead of else if. And that means if it goes through all of these conditions and it doesn't meet any of them, then this is what it's going to do. So we're going to say else. So if none of these conditions are met, then we're going to give it a red color. So we're going to say hexToRgb, and the hex code that we're going to use there. And make sure you're putting these hex codes in quotes, by the way. The hex code we're going to use there is FFFFFF, and that will turn it red. So if we click away, because our drop-down menu at the top is set to dark background, nothing should happen. But I did this on purpose. This is one of the things that annoys me about expressions and expression controls. You see it turn black. So that would mean we're meeting condition 1, not condition 0. And this is one of the things that really annoys me about the expression controls in After Effects. I feel like this is an inconsistency, but this drop-down menu is not actually a 0 index. Maybe it's not using an array in the background, I'm not sure, but it actually starts with 1. So we need to modify that expression. The first color should be 1, not 0. So colorTheme, we're checking if colorTheme equals 1. And for the second one, we're checking if colorTheme equals 2. And the way that you can remember that is just go look inside the edit menu for the drop-down menu, and the numbers are right there on the left. Now you can see when we click away, if we choose the number 1, our text stays white. If we come up here and we choose the light background, it turns black. We could check our error condition as well if we came down here and just put numbers other than 1 and 2. So if we came and said if colorTheme equals 3 for the first one and 4 for the second one, when we click away, the name should turn red. So if you get red when you click away, you know there's definitely something wrong because it should never hit that condition if you've done everything properly. So let's go back and make these 1 and 2. And then we can just copy and paste this expression into the other pieces. And I will put the expression down in the description in case it's hard to read on screen for any reason, or if you just want to copy and paste it. If you do copy and paste it, though, you need to make sure that this part of the first line matches. I mean, you're probably going to need to just pick whip to your layer, unless you've named everything the exact same way that I have. So let's set this back to dark background at top, since that's what we're working on right now. And if we go, we'll copy this expression into everything else. So if we go to the company name, hold Alt-Option to access the expressions, paste that one in there. That one should not need to be modified at all. Let's close these as we finish them. Also, the logo background, we can paste it in there with no modification. Then in the accent, which is this little tiny square on the bottom right, we're going to paste that one in. But we're going to use different colors. So if we're on the dark background, we want it to be teal. And then if we're on the light background, we're going to want it to be red. So the teal hex code that we're going to use is 00F5FF. And the red hex code that we're going to use is FF1E42. And since we're using a red on this, we don't want the error condition to show red, so let's just make that one white. So we can click away, nothing should change, that's good. And then finally, the banner background. If we Alt-Option click there and paste it in, it's the same two hex codes, but this time they're reversed. So we're going to put the red one in the first option, which is FF1E42, and then we're going to put the teal in the second option, which again is 00F5FF, and again we will just make the error condition white. Now if we change to a light background and change our drop down to light background, you can see I didn't really choose great color for the background banner there, but everything changed as we expected. And then if we remove our white background and change this back to a dark background, everything goes back to the original colors. So that's how you create a drop-down menu control to change multiple colors across your composition all at once in a single click. Then you can obviously add that into an Essential Graphics panel and export it as a MOGRT, bring it into Premiere, and then when somebody uses your lower third, if it doesn't show up well on the color background in the video they're using, they can just use the drop-down menu to change all those colors instantly. If that tip just saved you an hour of manual keyframing, do me a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss future content. It really helps the channel as we grow. Thanks for watching, stay creative, and let's go make some motion.